Hi, Dr. Patrick Gentempo here, and thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. We have great content in store for you. I'm so excited to be here with you, and let's jump right into it. How did all this lead you into the world of cryptocurrency and NFTs?
Well, crypto's a longer story. I had some very good friends 6, 7, even 8 years ago who started talking to me about this weird stuff called, Bitcoin, and that everything was going to go away from a US dollar or fiat currency. And I said, yeah, that sounds good, but I've got this other stuff going on. So I put a little in. They put a lot in. Their lives have been fundamentally altered and changed, and they're, often living in $20 million beachfront homes or flying their private jets. And not that that's the goal of doing any of this, but it really opened my eyes that there was an opportunity, and I missed it. Just quite frankly, I didn't go in. I didn't push my chips in the way that I felt that I should. And so as I saw about a year and a half ago, NFTs really start to proliferate in the market, and these splashy numbers were starting to come across. I mean, the Beeple $69 million number at Christie's comes to mind. It definitely got my attention. And so I quickly said, this is the opportunity. And for me, NFTs right now, I put it this way for people who don't know. The internet was to websites what crypto will be to NFTs. And so I don't know how old you, my hallucination is we're a similar age. So the internet was like this weird thing in the 90s, and you heard about it and everybody said, oh, you need a website. And, this guy Bezos was talking about, selling books. And then I heard other people saying everyone will have a website. Well, lo and behold, everyone has a website now. And so you heard these conversations around crypto, how massively disruptive it would be to currencies. And I still believe that that will probably play out. But the really disruptive aspect is this idea of digital provenance that you can attain through an NFT.
So let's start from the beginning. What is an NFT?
Oh, well, sure. It stands for non-fungible token, but really that's I think that's a placeholder name. It's not very sexy. I can't imagine that's going to be the name that really sticks. But what it is, it's a digital proof of ownership. And that can be tethered to a digital asset or a physical asset as well.
Can you give us some examples of each?
Oh, sure. So a digital asset could be, it could be what you're seeing traded right now, which are sometimes art pieces, sometimes music pieces. I referenced the Beeple piece. That was actually a culmination of, I think, 5,000 days of his work. He had curated and produced individual pieces that he put into a montage and then sold it off. So those would be kind of the art, what's currently going on.
Well, since that's an extreme example, let's dig into that one a little bit. So an artist creates this digital piece of artwork, and it's one of a kind, right? It's not like they're going to just, well, that's
yeah,
okay.
Not necessarily. So you can do different iterations. So sometimes there'll be limited runs. So let's say it could be an artist and they do a run of 10 or 100 or 1,000. Right now, the NFT market is seeing an explosion of what are called community-driven drops. Most prominent in that space would probably be the Bored Apes Yacht Club. I am not making up these names. That's really what it's called. And they've exploded on the market. I mean, originally they were $300, and now their minimum selling price is mid 6 digits.
Real, and this is a piece of digital art.
This is a piece of digital art.
Now, since it's digital, what prevents somebody else from just making a quick little copy of it, or what protects it?
So again, it goes back to the blockchain. So it's actually tied to a individual piece that's on the on the blockchain, and you can have proof of ownership. So you can see which wallet has owned it over time, where it's been, where it's currently being held. And what's happened is it's caught a moment in popular culture. And so you've seen popular celebrities and sports athletes. Most recently, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors bought one. It doubled the market value in these NFTs overnight.
Wow. And that's the interesting thing, because of the blockchain, proof of ownership and forgery becomes kind of impossible, right? Because of how it's protected as compared to the regular art world. So that's kind of a little bit of a new twist on it. But now so that's a digital example, but how does an NFT work with a piece of art that's maybe not a digital piece of art?
Well, sure, there's a number of ways that you could do that. I mean, you could embed an RFID chip and have a digital reader to be able to prove that. You could use a QR code. You could use any number of things. NFTs right now are the only thing that I've ever come across in my business career where the answer is yes. And what I mean by that is I often hear the question, can that be done via an NFT? And the answer quite simply is yes. It's just limited by your creativity. And I've never seen a vehicle or a product that could really be that universal in its application. And at its core, you just talked about forgery. That's the real thing, because the only difference between third world nations and developed countries is proof of ownership. And so for this to be a vehicle that can offer proof of ownership instantaneously, imagine how disruptive that can be. So we were chatting before we started filming. You're buying a property right now, and you were talking about going through title and that some things weren't signed and kind of a cumbersome process.
Right.
Look at a scenario where that could be transacted in an NFT. You're not clearing title in 30, 60, or 90 days. You're doing it instantaneously. So the use case could be massively disruptive.
So NFTs aren't just art, but literally the idea of an NFT can apply to smart contracts and these types of things?
It really is just a smart contract. I mean, that's what an NFT is. It's a smart contract tied to the blockchain that allows proof of ownership. It also allows a trailing royalty system for the originator. So
I'll talk about that.
Well, let's look at, I talked about the Golden State Warriors, so that's an NBA team. Many professional sports franchises, when they sell into a new stadium, they sell what are called personal seat licenses, or PSLs. And these will be significant investments on the front end, but more importantly, they're often traded in a secondary market, sometimes for a pretty handsome multiple. Well, once the team sells it to me and I go sell it on to the next person down the road, the team doesn't participate in that. If it was done via an NFT, they'd have an opportunity to have a trailing royalty system.
Wow.
So that's not only for PSLs, that could be for tickets, because, you know, a hot ticket or, the marquee matchup can often go for many times face value. So this also would give them an opportunity, if it was done via an NFT, to do just that. But let's play that tape forward a little bit and look at how that could be applied to, and is already being applied to, the music industry. One of the most convoluted systems in the world. I don't know how much you know about the music business, but often there's a lot of acrimony around what's been produced and what's really been sold and where the listenership is. This eliminates all that, and it gives a platform that really levels the playing field for the creator, for that artist, to participate in the royalty in a very accurate way.
Well, and that's interesting, because the music business is one that's challenged right now, and I come from the classic rock era, so the very much vinyl pre-internet experience, and actually spent some time on the road with Fleetwood Mac, so kind of looking at the inside of the industry from a classic rock band, and then seeing through time how, if these bands who made it really big, in the, call it the pre-internet and the pre-streaming era, now if they were starting out, it would be like, boy, Rockstar and Rockstar Money probably wouldn't be on the table for most of them, because of the way that you're producing music now, but it gets streamed. You're not really selling albums anymore. That whole thing kind of goes away. And I think it's an industry looking for a better model to say, how do we get artists paid for the work they do and make it somehow fair in the exchange? So you're saying NFTs can disrupt where the music industry is right now?
I think so. I mean, you look at one of the biggest channels for the music industry right now, it's actually TikTok. And so if you look at that we're consuming media, we're consuming everything in a way that we could have never possibly imagined a few years ago. I think it just leaves it all ripe to disruption. So absolutely, I think that there's a very solid use case, and I'm actually working with a couple of prominent labels on how to best roll out their NFT strategies going forward.
And that's where a trailing royalty might occur. Where
absolutely. The funny thing about NFTs is, shockingly, I'm considered a subject matter expert, and I feel like I know this much. Like I'm drinking from a fire hose every single day because the landscape is changing every single day. We're really at what I would call the finger painting stage of NFTs, or the very first, pitches of the very first inning of the game. And so where we'll ultimately go with that, I can't tell you. I will tell you that I firmly believe within the next, say, 18 to 24 months, there'll be a platform that has 100 million plus users on it, and 97.5% of those users have no earthly clue what they're transacting in is crypto, and what they're actually buying and selling or trading are NFTs.
Thanks so much for being here and watching that video. And can I ask you to please subscribe to our channel so you can find out when we're posting new content. You'll be alerted right away when we do. To share this with people you think might benefit from the information, and certainly it helps us if you like the video. So if you like what you just saw, go ahead and hit that like button. And again, thank you so much for being here with me right now.